the evidence that's used in support of the idea that life changes over the generations. So evidence that supports evolution by natural selection has been found by scientists in many fields, including the field of geology, biology, and there is some lovely biochemical evidence to go with that as well. So geological evidence looks like fossils that are the remains of particular organisms from the past. These include dinosaur bones, insects in amber, petrified wood, molds, casts, footprints, trails, leaves. Right? Fossils are pretty rare events and are often distorted or incomplete, but as we know from the puzzle piece exercise, you don't need the entire set of puzzle pieces to know what is on the front of that box. And we don't need the entire fossil record to be able to see how life is changing over time. In terms of biological evidence, we have embryology, which is the comparison of embryos of terrestrial species like chickens and pigs, and that shows that different organisms go through the very same stages and look very similar as they are going through those stages. This was a field that was done very early on when we didn't find a problem with killing a bunch of embryos in order to draw pictures or take pictures of them. That has since changed. We also get vestigial structures as biological evidence. And so some species have these features that might have functioned in an ancestor, but they really don't have a function in the current body of the animal. Like the baleen whale has hips. Whales haven't walked on land in a very long time, so they still have their hips, but they don't have any legs to go with them. We also have boa constrictors with legs. So here we have a snake, and then you can see at the very bottom their legs. We, in humans, apparently have an appendix, and we think that might be vestigial. Definitely wisdom teeth are not something we always need now. Biological evidence are another form of biological evidence is the homologous structures, right? Homologous structures are similar, therefore they kind of show an evolutionary relationship. So humans have 5 fingers, 2 wrist bones, 2 arm bones, and 1 upper arm bone. And if you look at that against a cat, a whale, or a bat, you're going to see the same pattern of bones. And we're going to use that to infer that humans, cats, whales, and bats are all mammals. We're also going to see variation due to sexual reproduction, right? Asexual reproduction, which is what bacteria use, produce organisms or new cells identical to the parent organism or cell. Sexual reproduction is going to not create identical offspring, right? And that selective pressure to adapt helps that, because if we have some selective pressure, like say antibiotics, that kills off all of the bacteria that are identical, right? We're only left with the mutations after that particular process. And so it's easy to take out large populations of bacteria because they're all genetically identical. It does mean that then they change to, then we cause that we select for those mutations rather than for the original strain of bacteria. Bacterial resistance to antibiotics is actually a big piece of biochemical evidence. The other big piece of biochemical evidence is DNA, and since we had a whole unit on that, you probably need to write it down, but not much faster than that. Bacteria don't become resistant to antibiotics. They either carry the genetic trait or they don't. And if they don't have it, they die when they're exposed to antibiotics. And if they do have it, then they don't die when they're exposed to antibiotics. So before World War II, there were lots of different kinds of bacteria. But after World War II, we started using antibiotics in a widespread kind of a way, and then we killed most of the non-resistant bacteria, and the resistant bacteria continued to multiply, right? And now they don't even have any competition for the resources that they generally use. So then they pass that genetic resistance on to generations, and that means that some of the bacteria we encounter today are antibiotic resistant. And here we have this lovely cartoon I had to pull in just for you.